Turning 50 is slightly daunting. It does mean I'm kind of looking back, reflecting on 50 years, which is hard to. I genuinely struggle to imagine myself at 50. I believe every decade you're evolving, and I think we as human beings are still evolving, and I think we change, or certainly a lot of people change quite dramatically decade by decade. The Treasury business has evolved with me as a person. So when I had my first child, it was the first time we ever had baby change facilities, and then as they got older I then introduced a children's menu, whereas we didn't have that before. I always thought it's nice to have places that are for adults without children, but so it's evolved much like I feel like I have as well. The geographical position of Plymouth is what means the most to me. So close to the moors, so close to the sea, coastal villages of Cornwall, the coastal villages of Devon. I think that's geographically is the most appealing and the thing that keeps me in Plymouth. It's a great city. There's some great architecture in the city, some fabulous conservation areas in the city. But yeah, geographically is what really I think really stands out about Plymouth. The Hoe and the Plymouth Sound in particular. If you ever need inspiration, I think vistas are wonderful things. So a walk on Plymouth Hoe, looking out, and the vista over Plymouth Sound, I think it can be very uplifting and inspirational. I think the marine park is the future of Plymouth. I think that really will, with the support of the government and the lottery, etc., putting the Plymouth Marine Park on the map. I think that's where Plymouth will really come into its own. And I think there should be all the resources they can find should be channeled into promoting that. I was brought up in Cornwall but went to school in Plymouth, so that's where my sort of love of Plymouth came, from a circle of friends. And after leaving school, after A-levels, I went to work for Sainsbury's head office in the management training scheme, which was mainly graduates only, but they made some allowances, and I squeezed myself in there. I believe back then there was 2,500 applicants for 25 jobs. And then when you actually get a position in a store and you start, and you realise you can't even move a tin of beans 2 inches to the left without having a memo from head office. So I found that quite disappointing. I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to sort of show an innovative, entrepreneurial spirit, and so as soon as they offered me a place, I was like, thank you very much, here's my resignation, and then came back down to Plymouth very quickly and opened a sandwich and coffee bar, which I'd witnessed a lot in London, and so wanted to do that. So, and the idea was just to start it up and sell it on and go travelling, and then I think it was 6 years later I had 2 or 3 of them that would bite sandwich bars around the city, and it was just too good, and I was enjoying it too much to actually do the travelling thing, and then it grew out of that, and one business rolled into another and morphed into another until the collection of keys got bigger. And then and that escalated into finding the Treasury, which was a very old, dilapidated building at the time, wanting to create a bar environment where you could go in and eat at lunchtime, have a coffee, have a drink in the afternoon, but stay till 1, 2 in the morning listening to cool DJs, and that wasn't happening down in Plymouth. It was very much the 11 o'clock pub closure, and then the nightclubs would open after that. So it was very much a first and a bit of a coup to start the Treasury as it was back 20 years ago. I'm proud of some of the trailblazing. I believe that myself and my teams over the years have forged forward. So going right back to introducing the first sandwich takeaway and the first coffee bar takeaway, And I recall having to educate people what a cappuccino, difference between a cappuccino and an espresso was. So yeah, proud of that. But again, so my life choices of being a self-employed entrepreneur have allowed me to play with different businesses, different ideas, and it's been good to me from that point of view. And some of them have worked, thankfully, have helped and paid for some of the others that haven't worked. But as a whole, they've all been pretty decent and looked after me, really.